name and an address.
So Yellowstone has officially wrapped up after 5 epic seasons. And while I've said goodbye to the Dutton Ranch, at least for now, as you can expect, the story is far from over. With Taylor Sheridan's massive Yellowstone universe expanding in ways I can't wait to see, there is one project in the horizon that seems like the outcast among all, making us all curious how it can fit into this franchise. Of course, I'm talking about the upcoming Yellowstone sequel, The Madison. So, without further ado, let's talk about what is this mysterious series will be about, when it will be out, and what else can we expect from it. One thing we know for sure is that this sequel takes us to Montana's stunning Madison River Valley, a location that we, as Yellowstone fans, are very much familiar. Here we'll meet the Clyburns, a wealthy family from New York, who are trying to rebuild their lives after suffering a tragic loss. At the heart of the story is Stacy Clyburn, a grieving mother and the matriarch of the family. Her journey promises to be emotional and layered as she navigates a world completely different from the one she knew. Her late husband will also rumored to appear in flashbacks, and it sounds like his memory will play a big role in shaping the family's decisions and struggles. Then there's the son, who will likely be stepping into a pivotal role as the family tries to find their footing in this unfamiliar, rugged landscape. From what I've heard, the show dives deep into their emotional journey as they adjust to life on a ranch, so far removed from the world of luxury and privilege they've always known. And the good news is, names like Michelle Pfeiffer and Kurt Russell are cast in the series, meaning that yet another ensemble cast is awaiting us, which is simply amazing. Are you excited to see these actors in the Yellowstone universe? Let me know in the comments. But more importantly, does this story sound familiar to you? If not, don't worry. It doesn't sound familiar because it is not familiar. Like, this is basically a project that no one could see coming, as it has no relation to the Duttons. But somehow, it is a part of the Yellowstone universe. I know it is strange, but it is what it is. Like, even as I get excited about this new chapter, I can't help wondering, will the Madison feel like Yellowstone without the Duttons? For me, the Duttons have always been the heartbeat of this universe, their legacy casting a shadow over everything else. So, I can't help but question whether the Madison will hit the mark or not, unless they cast a Dutton family member as one of the leads in the show. And that seems to be the direction that Taylor Sheridan will take. At least the behind-the-scenes rumors suggest this way. Can you guess which Dutton family member is in question? Well, if you saw this video's thumbnail, you know very well that Kayce is the one who will link the Madison to the Yellowstone universe, and I'm more than excited about it. As many of you know, Kayce really came into his own in Yellowstone Season 5. He managed to solve John's murder, save the ranch, and steer clear of the constant drama that had surrounded him for so long. For me, his decision to leave the Yellowstone brand behind and start fresh with his own ranch was one of the most empowering moves in the series. It felt like Kayce was finally stepping into his own identity, free from the weight of the Dutton family's curse. What resonates most with me is how Kayce's choice symbolized breaking a toxic cycle. For generations, the Duttons' attachment to their land had been more of a burden than a blessing, consuming their lives and driving them to unimaginable lengths. Letting it go and starting anew with 300 cattle felt like a much-needed reset for him as a character and for the story as a whole. This is where things get really interesting for me. Both the Madison and Kayce's stories are set in Montana, which means the potential for crossover moments is huge. Imagine this: the Clyburns, totally out of their depth as city folks trying to run a ranch, turn to Kayce for guidance. I can already picture the dynamic. Kayce, with all his experience and quiet wisdom, helping this struggling family while also figuring out his own path forward. It's such an intriguing possibility. Like, this can be the show that Kayce shines as the new Dutton patriarch who leads others. He can be the one who teaches this New Yorker family about the traditional ways of living in Montana. I believe Sheridan feels like this would allow him to set up Clyburns as an antithesis of the Duttons at first, pointing at the contrast between the two. But then, as Clyburns evolve under the guidance of Kayce, they will basically be the new Duttons of the franchise, having their own family saga. So, it is a very smart way to expand the franchise in a completely different way. Do you like this idea? Do you think Kayce has the capability to transform an entire family? Let me know in the comments. Here's the thing about the Madison. It's got the Montana setting, it's got an incredible cast, and it's exploring themes that are both familiar and new. But we keep coming back to the same question. Will it really feel like Yellowstone without the Duttons? That's the big question for me. Other spin-offs like 1883 and 1923 worked because they were deeply rooted in the Dutton family's history, their struggles, and their legacy. The Madison seems to be heading in a completely new direction, and while that's exciting, I'm doubtful that any of you guys are as excited as I am. But let me know in the comments, how do you feel about the show? This is where I think connecting it to Kayce and Monica's story could be a game changer. By keeping some threads of the Dutton legacy alive, it would bridge the gap between the old and the new, giving me a sense of continuity while still allowing new characters and stories to flourish. Do you think the Madison needs that Dutton connection to thrive? Or is it time for the Yellowstone universe to truly branch out on its own? I'm torn, and I'd love to hear your take on this. The Madison is expected to be out in September 2025. For more weekly updates on the Yellowstone universe, make sure to like and follow. If you want to know what will happen in the upcoming Beth and Rip spin-off series, watch the video on the screen.